Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to go over some of the trailing up there and why it might be related to Sabe Bigfoot. So when they're ground crawling, like a spider on all fours, uh, they make a really wide, flat, open trail, kind of like a bear trail. That's their flat crawling. They'll do that up a hill. They'll do it across flat ground. This is part of the arch systems. You can see an arch in the evening or at night easier against the sky than a straight twig. You got a bunch of straight twigs, doesn't have any definition, but an arch does. Another form of movement that I've seen in person, Jen did this a lot. This is how she was crawling at me the day I met her. And both Guanch and Jen had this movement pattern. It makes a slightly narrower path, but it still kind of looks like a flat, open, smaller bear path. And this movement's kind of a combination. It's almost like a duck walk, but it's kind of like a scooting. They'll push their feet forward and kind of swing a little bit. Their feet will be up off the ground, then they'll land, they'll put their butt down. The other version they'll do is they'll kind of toe crawl or crawl forward, like, duck waddling. Or they'll kick one leg out and kind of scoot on the opposite haunch. Jen used to do that a lot. Guanch did this more than the other movement. Then the one that really gets me, which looks very much like a cougar trail, especially in grass, will have kind of a U shape to it. They'll open their toes when they're walking on this one. And it's when they're walking this way, they almost look bow-legged the way they're walking, because they're actually kind of making this swing pattern. But they're picking it's like they've trained themselves to pick their knees up. So they're kind of making this swing forward and placing the feet to make a pad movement so that they don't mar the grass that they're crossing through or the terrain that they're crossing through. It's kind of a light-footed movement. And then the last one, which I've seen 3 times in my life, 2 single individuals doing it in 2 different locations, and then a group of about, probably 10 individuals. This is the little narrow, looks like a rabbit trail path. And they'll put one foot right in front of the other. And they'll keep their toes together. They bow their head, and if they're carrying any kind of tool, they'll hold the tools in their hands and they won't raise them in any way or utilize them in any way. So this is what they do when they're going back to camp. And this is when you will hear the word "no" for no, you can't follow. So whatever going on here is maybe reference to the arc female, and also submission. I'm not gonna use my weapons on anything other than their intended purpose. And there were a few other odd movement patterns that they do. There's a type of running where they're kind of hunched over. I'll draw some more movement patterns, but this kind of gives you some basic ideas to start with. And then that zigzaggy movement that I pointed out. This is kind of training. It's to teach them how to pick their feet up and how to dart, evade, or keep from slipping or make too much noticeable sign. So part of it is learning how to run after game, because this is something my mom had me practice too. And it was also to learn how to change direction quickly, like, a quarterback can. So it's also evasive. You might be trying to avoid something that's going to gore you, like a deer or an elk. So it's that kind of lends itself to that sort of training as well, agility to evade contact with something that might hurt you. And then There is a picture of this pair of creatures. This is a cryptid I am not familiar with. Either one of these cryptids. I don't even have... Well, I kind of have some stories about this guy from my native grandmother. But I don't know what the heck this thing is. And I don't, off the top of my head, remember stories about it. And it's not coming to me, you know, description-wise. So there is a picture. This is the one that was taken by the Google car in the area in 2018. So whatever this creature is, and this dog-looking thing is, because it, in the picture, it was hard for me to figure out what was making me go, that doesn't look right. Finally realized it had horse-like nostrils and more of a burrow instead of a dog head, which is a little disturbing, because not only are those things intelligent, once they get a hold of you, they don't let go of you. So this is an odd creature I've not seen before, but it's unique. And the muzzle that this thing is wearing isn't really a muzzle, it's actually a nerve harness. Something Native Americans use when training an equine, a horse. And the other end of the, normally, will be also a loop up behind the ears, because that would catch another major nerve ganglion right behind the horse's head. But this catches all those nerves that won't allow this animal to lift its head. It won't be able to pull it up. So this is a control device. So I'm assuming this guy is a trainer for this creature here. And I think this is the one that keeps saying, guape, kia, kyo, ka, go. That's Tagalog. It means another person to chase, dog. So, potentially this creature calls this creature a dog. So, the facial structure on this guy is actually a little more batish looking to me than cattish. And there's, looks like some sort of a bone ridge or maybe a clay decoration in the hair or on the skull that's kind of blue-green in color, really faint colored. And then these are either a pair of braids or some sort of bony ridgeline. They look slick. If it were hair, they might be dressed with fresh clay. But if it's, you know, something else like, you know, bony ridgelines with skin over them, you know, this area could be that too. It could be some sort of coloration, you know, natural display ornament. But again, I don't know what the heck this thing is. So, part of the reason why I'm not taking my dog up there is because she freaks the hell out when these things get close. And I don't blame her. The behavior out of these two creatures seems not to be protective unless they're protecting a group of guanche, which is odd. Because there are guanche up there. I've not only gotten the picture of the one in the gully and that, you know, V tree where the broken marriage tree is, but there was one sitting up in the bushes. It's kind of been up in the corner of one of the videos, up in the brush on the left-hand side of me, and I think it was the second video I posted recently. But it's not really defined. You can tell it's a guanche. So I don't know if this thing is protecting the guanche family, or if it is another cryptid in the area that isn't per se associated with them, but is passing through or living for a time in their region, because he doesn't have the same movement patterns through the area as far as I can tell. He doesn't stay localized. He traverses back and forth between two different locations as far as I can tell. So that's peculiar too. So, more later, but I thought you'd like a little info on that. Have a good morning. Oh, and my live show, I think I'm going to do Sunday around 3 this weekend. And then the documentary, there'll be a kind of a preview documentary in the spring. And then my documentary will be out in the middle of summer sometime. Have a good morning.